Live from Las Vegas, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker, a podcast filled with raw and unfiltered conversations on how to give life's challenges the finger. Truth is your passport to emotional freedom. Give an eviction notice to negativity. Dump yesterday's garbage. Learn how to be positive, energized, healthy, and alive during these insanely unpredictable times. Look up, get up, stay up, then help somebody else to get up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down. Broadcasting hope to the world, this is L.A. Walker.
Well, hi there. My first podcast of the year 2021. We made it. Up Hollywood is to be commended for continuing to make every imaginable and unimaginable effort to bring us moments of entertainment that come to give us a mental relief from our present situation, where we can go inside of another story, someone else's life, and just live there. Just live there. Just get in there and live and breathe and allow those characters to go through their problems and go, yes, hell yes, whatever I'm going through is not as bad as that. I have the pleasure of speaking with actor Ron L. Haynes. And Ron, as many of you already know, appeared in Chicago Med, Power Book 2, Chicago Fire, Lincoln Rhyme, Proven Innocent, and the August Wilson 1982 Tony-nominated play brought to the screen on Netflix, directed by Tony Award-winning director George C. Wolfe. And everybody is talking about it, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Ron, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. But before we get to dissect your experience in August Wilson's very provocative piece, I want to know about Ron. Who is Ron L. Haynes?
Ron L. Haynes is just an average guy. I'll take that back because I come from a diverse background. I did a lot of stuff in my past that I had to end up correcting. I'm from Akron, Ohio. Been here all my life. But I've done a lot of stuff, like in California. I used to do rapping. I used to be down with AWOL Records, Febo, and all of them, Marvelous. Basically, I'm performed alchemy, should I say, on my life. I took something that was ordinary and made it into something extraordinary. That's where I'm going with it.
I love it.
You're average everyday guy, basically.
So how are you doing during these times? I mean, I know that Hollywood is having this difficulty, probably even more so than many organizations or institutions with this pandemic. How are things going for you? Are you able to still be casted in roles?
Before the pandemic hit, it was rolling, and, I was always in New York, doing my thing. And when I didn't even know about the pandemic, actually, but I was doing something on, matter of fact, my Raineys Black Bottom. and the wardrobe, the lady that's in charge of wardrobe, I think her name is Ann Roth. She had asked me about where I'm from, the whole 9 yards. I gave her all the information, and she told me I better be careful. And I looked at her with a strange look, and she was like, that pandemic is going on, coronavirus is going on. And I said, no, I didn't know this. This was in March. This was like March the 9th, I think, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. And I didn't know anything about it. She, put me on it. So by the time I get back to Akron, that following week, they start closing schools down and everything. I said, oh, man, I was in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
After that, everything shut down for me for about 7 months. I couldn't get on, couldn't do anything for about 7 months.
Wow.
And then finally, I got a call. It's slowly, coming back and everything like that. But thank God that the stuff that I had did pre-pandemic was just starting to come out now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. You're in the movie Cherry as well.
Yes, I am. The movie is going to be a big movie. That's going to be big one.
Yeah, I've been reading the reviews. On it. I can't wait. That's supposed to be released, I think, in February?
Yes, the end of February, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to be released in theaters first. But,
okay.
With the pandemic situation, it's going to be limited,
Sure.
viewings or whatever. But after that, they're going to release it on Apple TV, I think globally,
Oh, wow.
worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. How did you channel your experiences and your energy into an acting career?
Actually, what happened was I did a play. I had never dreamed of being an actor or anything like that. Like I said, I used to do rapping and stuff like that. But I did a play about 3.5 years ago. And that was the first play I ever did. A lady came to me, with the play and all of that. And then we read it. And I was like, I want to play this guy. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to act, And fast forward, we did the play. And when I did that play and I got on that stage, once it was over, it just changed my whole aspect of life, basically.
Wow.
I guess you could say I caught that bug.
Okay. Yes, a bug. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And once I caught that, I just started channeling all my energy into that. It was like I couldn't stop. I couldn't sit down. I just kept on going and going and going. I would use Google and YouTube to basically find my way. That's how I ended up starting. And I just never stopped. Kept going from there. Took a couple acting classes. Google and YouTube was my friend.
That's an amazing story, actually. Was Chicago Med your first introduction to the screen?
Per se, yes, because I did something else, but it was one of those, if you blink, you'll miss me type of roles.
Sure.
Yeah, so basically Chicago Med was my big introduction. And yeah, that was a big one. Yeah, for me at that time. And prior to that, I'd only been acting for probably about a year and a few months, about 1.5 years before that. From the play to Chicago Med, it was about 1.5 years.
So what's your role in Power Book 2?
Power Book 2, I was booked as a DNC, Democratic National Committee, on the Democratic National Committee with Lorenz Tate. Basically, they was having the funeral for Ghost.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
I was part of that funeral situation. Actually, they called me back. I went on vacation, because of this pandemic stuff and all of that.
Sure.
But I did that in November of 2019.
Oh, okay.
That role. So it was supposed to come out sometime in like June or July, but the pandemic pushed it all the way back. So as the pandemic started easing up a little bit, and I ended up taking a vacation to Florida. And I got a call back when I was out in Florida. So I kind of missed that, but I'm optimistic. I'm quite sure they'll call me back. Yeah.
I think they will too. With your attitude, I followed you. Whenever I have the opportunity to interview one of you celebrities, I always go to your Instagram and other social media just to kind of see what's going on. And one of the things that I really was impressed with you is that you spend time to motivate other people, and I think that's just absolutely fabulous because you, as a celebrity, people know that you have to push it. You have to be on top of your game. And for you to take the time and use your celebrity to motivate other people, that's very encouraging.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I try to do that. I like to be an inspiration, because there's a lot of people that know where I came from, especially here in Ohio, Maryland. I try to give them motivation to basically do whatever it is that they want to do.
Right.
I always tell people that you'll never know what you can do if you don't try something. You have to try something. You know what I mean?
I do.
How are you going to find your you if you don't try something? That's my main thing with people that I try to get across.
And you're doing a good job with that. So, such a good job that you wound up in a role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Wow.
Yes.
And this, oh my gosh, because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom right now is set up on the nominations for Golden Globes, SAG,
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're going to look for the Oscars. I mean, come on. I mean, what a great project to be involved in.
I said the same thing, especially Denzell. Denzell Washington. You know what I mean? I was like, oh wow.
Right.
Actually, I got casted twice. I was casted in Pennsylvania. I went to Pennsylvania first, and did Inside the Tent with everybody else and all of that type of stuff. Then they called me back to New York, to come to New York and do that role that I was seen in.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, because you were wearing that car out. I was loving that car. That's for sure. So did you get a chance to spend any time with Viola Davis or with Chadwick Boseman?
Well, I seen him on the set.
Okay.
That was in Pittsburgh though, but in New York, that wasn't even. They wasn't even in that scene.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I've seen Denzell as well.
Oh,
but you know how it is.
Right.
I very much enjoy, being around them and being in that type of atmosphere. Not only them, but other celebrities.
Sure.
Especially when I was in Chicago Med. I conversated with the whole crew. Everybody. And what was his name? Michael Waxman, I think.
Yes.
I think that's who. Yeah, that's who did that one. He's a cool guy, but he's about his business. George Wolf is too, as well.
Oh yeah. And George Wolf, a lot of people don't know, is a playwright himself.
Yep.
Yeah. And he had a very tough job. Times change, and how we receive and understand information changes. And so for him to take August Wilson's piece and bring it to the screen and in such a way that today's audience could really get totally immersed in it, that was a tough job.
Yeah, seriously, it was.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but he did it.
I didn't know how it was going to turn out, the whole film, because, I'm only doing parts.
Right.
Scenes, I guess. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but when it came out and I sat and watched it, man, I was powerful. I was very powerful. I was like, wow, I like this. Like, man, Chadwick, oh, man.
I know, right? Yeah,
I mean, Viola as well,
Of course.
Viola as well. Yeah, man, Chadwick is amazing. That scene in itself, when he's saying that about God and all of that type of stuff, I was like, my mouth just dropped. You know what I mean?
I know,
I'm like,
right?
Wow.
I know, right? It's amazing to me that we live in a time that we don't realize how hypocritical we can be, because I've been reading a lot, and a lot of Christians, people that say they're Christians, are all shook up about that scene and negating the truth that many of us become very, very angry with God when we lose a loved one. And that's a fact. We have to face that part, but we don't want to face it. And people got hung up on the relationship of Ma Rainey and Dusty May. I love that name, Dusty May. That's a name. And they got more concerned about the cursing at God and the anger at God and the black queer, as opposed to being upset about the murder. I would have thought you would have been more concerned about him taking someone's life, but that's not the commentary. That's interesting,
But they still have to realize it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yes, it was written by somebody, and it's a movie.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on,
Right.
I mean, it's the movie, and it reminds me of rappers when they rap. When people get all engulfed into what they're saying, you gotta realize that a lot of the stuff is not true that they are saying. Now, you got some real rappers out there that don't speak the truth, but everything is not the truth.
Right.
So don't get engulfed into it. like that, and especially with acting. Acting is acting.
Period.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I don't like when they do that, but everybody, has their own opinion.
Ron, listen, I've seen you in your scene characters and how you've played them, and you do have that look. I want you to tell me the real story of Ron. What have you been through that makes Ron L. Haynes? While Ron is collecting his thoughts, we'll be back right after this.
Hi guys, this is 10. Listen, I don't know if you have been able to make your way over to lawalker.life on Facebook, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor, run over there and just read the snippets of her new book. She's writing a new book, and it is titled Seeing Beyond the Mess. It grabs your attention. All of us have mess. All of us have mess, whether we were born in the mess, as she says, whether we were born in the mess or whether it's handcrafted mess, but there's life beyond that mess. We sometimes create our own mess. And just from reading the little snippets that I read, she exposed all of that. Just in those little bitty passages, she exposed a lot of that. A lot of that stuff she was born into. Some of that stuff she could not control. Some of those things she created on her own. She exposed the mess. Whenever you have time, just run over there and check it out. Let's start seeing beyond the mess.
You're listening to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker.
All right, we're back. I'm speaking with Ron L. Haynes, a scene actor in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Okay, Ron, just give it to me like it is.
I come from the projects. I come from Edgewood Projects. It was one of the worst projects here in Akron, Ohio. Matter of fact, I came from Elizabeth Park, which is Northside Project. That's as far as I can remember, as a child. I say 3 years old. I don't know how long I stayed down there, before that, but as far as I can remember, 3 years old. And then we moved into Edgewood Projects, which is on the west side. And I think I was 5 or 6 then. And I stayed down in the projects till I was 12. And, it was, like I said, one of the worst projects ever. I mean, I grew up seeing a lot. Back in those days, it wasn't really shooting the way that they do now.
Right.
But you get stabbed and mainly would get whooped on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I come from that. And then, one thing that I did experience that I really loved that Edgewood Projects brought out of me, we played football a lot. As a child and stuff like that, we played football. So when it came time to play organized football for Pee Wee football, my homies and all of them told me you should play running back because I had speed. And boom, I ended up playing football, and I was an instant star playing football. So, but as time went on, from football, instead of me, doing everything in high school, because I played like 4 years Pee Wee football. Once I got 15 and 16, started hitting the streets, experimenting with weed, drink, and women, stuff like that.
Right.
And when you get out there in the streets and stuff like that, and back in those days, and you experience that, and then as time went on, the other drug came out, crack came out, so Mama Still Poor,
Sure.
One of those same type of stories that you hear in these rap albums and stuff. Mama Still Poor, and I wanted some money. So, picked up a bad habit, then became a savage. Boom. Start doing my thing.
Got it.
Of course, you're going to end up one place or another doing that. It's either jail or penitentiary or death.
Right.
I'm still here, so I didn't die, but I did take a trip to prison. I did a couple years in prison. And while I was in prison, I started thinking like, man, what can I do? What can I do? Before I went, I was already started trying to rap. But then I started getting educated as far as how to put out my own CD and all of that while I was in there. When I got out, now I ain't got no money. So, boom, back to the streets. End up sitting down, made money, sit down, put out a CD here in Akron. And that CD, to this day, motivated a whole lot of rappers around here. I was the first person here in Akron to put out a CD. And everybody and their mama is rapping now, as far as here in Ohio, still going. I mean, you got people that's 40 and 50 years old still trying to rap.
Right, right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still, hey, each his own. But anyway, fast forward, I left that alone, finally, and then I was doing rapping 100%. That's when I ended up going to California, signing with AWOL Records. Sold a music group first with St. Charles. Signed with them, and then I signed with AWOL Records. And I was me and one of my homies. We was up there doing that. And eventually, I done some real gangsters up there. I got to tell you that now. boy. But anyway, make a long story short, ventured through that, the rap scene. I'm still lightweight in the streets, still doing my thing or whatever. And then I end up getting a 9 to 5. Something was telling me in my head, go get you a job. And that's one thing I do is I listen to the God in me.
Oh,
and
yes,
that
sir.
voice that be in my head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the obedience that they say when you're supposed to obey God. You're supposed to obey that voice in your head.
You better talk about it.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Hey, so I did that, got me a job, ended up going to college because I always wanted a degree because I was going to college while I was locked up in prison, and I'm very intelligent, but, I was using that intelligence in a negative way, I guess you could say, But I ended up going back to college, got a degree, associate's degree, and one thing popped in my head again. I said, you know what? I don't want to work, pay bills, and die.
Right.
And, so I ended up going to college, and then when I got the degree, I started thinking, like, okay, now what? Go get a better job so you can work, pay bills, and die. Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, what else can I do? That was my main thing. What else can I do? What can I do? And I look back on my past, I used to sell. So I used to say I needed something to sell, but legit,
Right.
And couldn't think of nothing. And once I ended up doing years later, I ended up doing that play. And how you got to take headshots and stuff like that. I took some headshots, and everybody loved the headshot. They was like, wow. So at that point, I decided to sell myself. I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to promote this picture here from here to Kalamazoo. I'm going to throw this picture everywhere, And that's when I started to get recognized. And everyone would say, I got to have a look. You have a look.
You do.
Everywhere I went,
you do.
You have a look. So
you have a look and you have an attitude. And you have an experience. And you have, and from what you're telling me, you're wise enough to put all of those components together and not try to take one out to be something else, but using everything that has occurred in your life to build you. That's doing it. You are doing it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, no, it's real. And it's about telling those stories. I'm from Chicago, and so I never lived in the projects, but I lived in the ghetto. So, same
right.
deal. I lived on 4740 Prairie in Chicago, which was not far from the L train, and everything that could possibly go on in the community was happening in that area. Drugs, policy, prostitution, you name it. And we were faced every day with choices that people that came from other areas that lived in white suburban areas didn't come in contact with. But we had to really make choices. And it wasn't always easy because realistically, who wants to go to work from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening to just get by when you see all these other opportunities in front of you to drive nice cars and have nice clothes and live in a nice place. I mean, that's a hell of a choice.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
so you
That's
share,
true.
yeah. So you taking the time to share your story is how people grow, because right now, someone will listen to this. Someone will have a kid that they need to talk to about this, and it's easier if they are equipped with some sort of motivation to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to stay that way. You know, use everything you've got to build your life and not let your life that you've been presented with destroy your possibilities, because, you know, look at you. I mean, you're playing alongside of some of the world's greatest actresses and actors.
I know that was something else. You know, first of all, produced by Denzell, and you know, of course, directed by George Wolf, and then you got the top notch, the best of the best. I'ma say, don't get me wrong, you got some great actors out there, but Viola Davis and Chadwick, they are among the best.
They are among the best, right? There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So what's your goal? What's your future? What do you want to accomplish next?
Oscar. I want an Oscar.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Put it out there.
You know, it's steps, of course, but you know, I'm going for the Oscar. You know,
yes, sir.
You know, it's going to be steps, of course. You know, but I'm prepared to run my race, but I'm setting my own pace. I just want to cross that finish line. So, you know, I'm pacing myself. As long as I cross that finish line, then I'm good. I don't care about how long it takes. You know.
That's awesome.
You know,
so what would you say to encourage someone right now that's going through this pandemic?
There's a lot of things that they can do. Say, for instance, like right now, I'm writing a book. There's a lot of things that you can do through this pandemic. I feel like it's a time of focus, to focus on what do you actually want with your life, what do you want to do. It's hard right now to really go out and try things, like I said before. You know, you never know what you're capable of until you try something. But you can sit down and start writing. Focus on how your past was and write about your past. Or, you know, if there's something that you want to do as far as acting, like me, you can go online and be a self-educated actor. You know, there's all types of things on YouTube, you know, that you can look up. Also, you can prepare yourself for when the pandemic ends. It's not going to be here forever.
Right.
You know, you can prepare yourself for when the pandemic ends. What are you going to do? What is your next move? You know, so there's plenty of things you can do during the pandemic, but it's all about focus. That's the main thing. The focus has to be there. You have to focus on something. Believe in yourself. If something attaches you to it, you know, as far as, say, for instance, like me with acting, and you going with it, and you're going to have your ups and downs. It's not going to be all gravy. But if it really resonates with your soul, you have to believe in yourself and just keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. That's the main thing. So to everybody out there that's listening, right now is the time to set your focus on something and get your life in order, to whereas you can prosper at something, whatever you choose, for when this pandemic ends. But first off, I'd like to thank you for having me on your podcast show, your radio show, and everything. And I'll send my blessings out to everybody, to the world. Look out for me, y'all. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We look forward to seeing you doing even greater things.
Thank you so much, LA, for having me.
I almost forgot. Hey, you know what? Whatever podcast network you listen to this podcast on, Up is Higher Than Down, would you please subscribe and also rate? And if you feel up to it, leave a comment. I really need the ratings in order to make this podcast go. So if you believe in what I'm doing, Please take the time to do that. Thank you so much.
Listen to Up is Higher Than Down with L.A. Walker every day. To follow up, make comments, discuss today's podcast, or find out how you can become a guest and share your victory over a negative life event, follow L.A. Walker. Up is Higher Than Down on Facebook. Look up, get up, stay up. Remember, any part of up is higher than down.